All right, everyone, buckle up, because 2025 just keeps getting more absurd. JD Vance, the same guy who thinks writing a memoir somehow qualifies him to lecture America, showed up at Union Station in Washington, D.C. with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and Stephen Miller for what was supposed to be a feel-good, morale-boosting National Guard photo op. He smiled, he waved, he handed out burgers, and then got heckled mercilessly by the crowd. Apparently, even food diplomacy can't save a PR disaster when your policies are out of touch with reality. The crowd chanted slogans like, "Free DC!" From DC to Palestine, occupation is a crime. And yes, some even shouted Nazis at them. This wasn't just bad timing. This was a complete political meltdown on public display, and it exposes everything wrong with Trump-era authoritarian theatrics.
But we in DC are not afraid. We will continue to be out here.
They're afraid, and what they think that they need to do is to clean up crime and to stand for democracy is bringing in tanks and troops as they cut funding for healthcare and for housing. We are on the side of the people. We want occupation of no communities, and we want to be investing in the very things that make communities thrive, and it's not more military.
I feel like we are on the knife's edge of a moment in history. We have the playbook. We have the fascist, tyrannical wannabe playbook. But we have the opportunity right now, because we have the playbook, because we see what's going on, because we know what they're trying to do. We as the American public have a moment to stop this, to stand together, and to resist. This story has not yet been written.
Vance, Hegseth, and Miller are visiting the National Guard in D.C., a city where violent crime is at a 30-year low. Instead of funding community policing, drug rehabilitation, or housing, they bring in nearly 2,000 troops, many from Republican-led states, armed with pistols and tanks parked outside metro stations. Their justification? Union Station apparently has become overrun with vagrants, drug addicts, the chronically homeless, and the mentally ill, all supposedly threatening families and tourists. Yes, that's the logic. If you see someone asking for change or struggling on the streets, clearly they're a menace to society. Forget rehabilitation, social services, or public health. We need National Guard troops. Meanwhile, Trump will undoubtedly spin this as a victory, just like they did during pandemic lockdowns, claiming that the city is now safer because of a show of force. But anyone with eyes, common sense, or a functioning moral compass knows this is authoritarian intimidation masquerading as public safety.
Most of the citizens who live in Washington, D.C. are black. This is not a city that has had any safety for its black citizens for generations. And President Trump is the one who is fixing that with the support of the Metropolitan Police Department, the support of the National Guard, and our federal law enforcement officers. So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old, and we're going to get back to the business of protecting the American people and the citizens of Washington, D.C.
The attempt to thank the troops quickly devolved into a humiliating spectacle. Protesters heckled them relentlessly. Miller dismissed demonstrators as crazy communists and stupid white hippies. Vance claimed he was freeing D.C. from lawlessness, portraying Union Station as a monument to danger and chaos. Let's pause here. Imagine telling people that you're deploying the military in their city because homeless people and mentally ill residents are too dangerous to exist publicly, and then getting booed for it. That's peak 2025. That's authoritarian theater with burgers. It's the perfect storm. Arrogance, cruelty, and PR incompetence all wrapped into one viral moment. Let's break down why this isn't just a funny incident. Militarizing a safe city is not about public safety. It's about sending a message. Obey or face intimidation. Troops on the streets, tanks outside metro stations, armed soldiers at Union Station. It's a clear demonstration of power over people, not protection of people. Trump's goal is obvious. As midterms approach, he wants to signal that Democratic-led cities, often with black and brown mayors, are lawless and must be controlled by the federal government. Militarization becomes a subtle tool of voter suppression, intimidating residents who might oppose him. The rhetoric targeting marginalized populations isn't accidental. References to vagrants, drug addicts, the chronically homeless, and the mentally ill feed into toxic narratives about race, class, and the Great Replacement theory. Look at Trump's past. pandemic enforcement fantasies, wishing for armed officers to impose lockdowns, BLM protests, where opening fire on demonstrators was even considered, the shock and awe domestic operation in Los Angeles 2 months ago, basically a rehearsal for nationwide militarization. Now he's scaling this up, normalizing the idea that the military can patrol American cities under the guise of law and order.
Amused by the description of them as a bunch of white hippies. It's interesting the change that Trump has brought to the Republican movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's hilarious because JD Vance is there saying it's kind of bizarre that we have a bunch of old people that are out protesting that we are trying to stop crime. It's just, even when you say that out loud, that they are protesting because we're trying to stop crime.
Yeah, well, he made those comments in an interview with Laura Ingraham. Have a listen to what he said.
They were actually defending the rights of illegal immigrants to come into our country, to vote in our elections, to collect Social Security and Medicaid that ought by right go to American citizens, to say nothing of housing. This is actually the biggest driver of housing costs in some of these big blue cities, is that they've flooded the zone with illegal immigrants. As we've kicked illegal aliens out of our country, you actually see housing costs start to level off. So fundamentally, the difference between Republicans and Democrats is we care about American citizens. They actually don't like American citizens and want to replace them with low-wage foreigners. It's a very stark difference, and I think the American people are going to continue to reward us because of it.
We're laughing at the absurdity. Burgers as a PR stunt fail spectacularly. It's all part of a playbook to intimidate, control, and consolidate power. And the Union Station burger fiasco exposes just how out of touch these figures are with reality. And it doesn't stop at D.C. Trump's advisors are reportedly drawing up playbooks for scaling this nationwide. Chicago, Oakland, Baltimore all could see similar deployments. Crime statistics, legal limits, and public opinion be damned. The goal is power and creating a spectacle for Fox News viewers.
So I want to come here, highlight what they're doing, say thank you in person, obviously pass out a few burgers, but most of all, just send a message to the American people. Look, we don't have to live like this. We do not have to allow our cities to be taken over by violence and by disorder and by chaos. You can actually do stuff. You can actually bring law and order to communities. You've just got to have the political willpower to do it. And the voices that you hear out there, those crazy communists, they have no roots. They have no connections to the city. They have no families they are raising in this city. They have no one that they are sending to school in this city. They have no jobs in this city. They have no connections to this community at all. But if the President of the United States thinks that he has to extend this order to ensure that people have access to public safety, then that's exactly what he'll do. If he thinks he doesn't have to do that, obviously he'll make that determination. But what we're going to do is try to empower these guys to do as good of a job as possible to bring public safety and order back to Washington, D.C.
This isn't public safety. This is political theater for authoritarian ends. Meanwhile, small businesses are hemorrhaging money, residents are scared to leave their homes, and the government is normalizing the use of military force against its own citizens. Let's be real, though. Some of this is hilarious. Stephen Miller calling protesters stupid white hippies? Pricelessly tone-deaf. The notion that Union Station is so dangerous that the National Guard must patrol it like a war zone? So what's the takeaway? JD Vance is unpopular. The militarization of D.C. is unnecessary and dangerous. Trump's administration is normalizing domestic military deployment under the guise of law and order. And the best part? The only thing freed in D.C. is the media to roast this fiasco endlessly.